Good afternoon. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Compliance and Amendments Committee, called to order on Tuesday, May 10th at 5 o'clock. Chris, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. Member Snyder? Snyder absent. Member Nee? Nee present. Member Washburn?
Here.
Washburn present. Member Wolf? Wolf absent. Member Johnson? Johnson present. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Member Nee?
Yeah, a couple of things on the roll call. Member Snyder, I think both Member Snyder and the Member Wolf should be marked excused rather than absent. Member Snyder has work and family obligations that are keeping him away. Member Wolf had something come up at work that is going to keep him arriving late. He sent me a text message earlier today saying he expected to be here at about 5:30.
5:30, okay. Chris, could you call the first item on the agenda?
The first item is the approval of March 8, 2011 regular meeting minutes.
Member Nee?
I'm going to move for continuation on this one, particularly on item number 4 in the minutes under public comment. Thomas Piccarello spoke on various topics. I don't think that passes muster under section 67.16. This was an item. He was commenting on a specific agenda item, and I think there's some at least a little bit more detail than various topics is needed. So I move for continuance of this.
I second.
Okay. I agree. I mean, last time we moved to continue it for the exact same reason, and nothing's happened in the interim. Is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none. Chris, could you call the roll, please?
On the motion to continue, Member Nee?
Aye.
Nee, aye. Member Johnson?
Aye.
Johnson, aye. Member Washburn?
Aye.
Washburn. Madam Chair, we have 3 ayes. The motion passes.
Could you call the next item on the agenda, please?
Next item is the approval of April 12, 2011 regular meeting minutes.
Member Nee?
Move to approve.
Second.
I do see Thomas Piccarello's name is, I believe, his first name has an H in it, and it doesn't. Okay, so
No, it does not.
okay, so under item number 4, his name is misspelled. Then shouldn't be an H. Member Johnson?
Is there ongoing, based on Task Force Chair Nee's request to the clerk of the board to discuss the minutes? Are there ongoing issues with these that we're going to address in that manner?
Through the chair, I hope to address the matter with the clerk. I emailed the clerk's office and was informed that they have an opening available for this Thursday or Friday. However, usually I attend those meetings with at least one other member of the task force, Member Wolf, and when I forwarded the clerk's email to him, I have not heard back. So I could do one of two things. I could wait to hear back from him, or I could just go ahead and make the appointment.
You say it's for this Thursday or Friday?
This Thursday or Friday, that's correct.
Well, if Member Wolf can't do it, I could do it.
Okay. Well, I'll forward you the email that I got from the clerk, then we can let them know. Member.
Okay. Member Johnson?
Just as I don't know if this is helpful or not, but I received an an email recently telling me that 2 or 3 of my emails to Member Wolf's task force email address had not gone through.
Ditto.
Mm.
Okay, just so, if that's helpful in any way.
Okay.
Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I forwarded one of them to his other email address so that he'd know.
All right, so, okay, we have a motion, but it hasn't been seconded to approve these minutes? Oh,
Well-
Member Johnson did second
I
it.
seconded it because I wanted to have a discussion about it, but I would prefer to, I hate to just leave them there, and these are relatively,
Well,
they're relatively straightforward, but there's no detail at all about the discussion of our ethics commission. I mean, not even like sections or. So it's hard for me to approve them that way.
I agree. There's, it says Chair Washburn instructed Mr. Rustum to put together the proposed response and send the document to committee members. Well, we've actually had a fairly detailed instruction about what we wanted in that, and it would have been nice to have had that recorded here without having to go back and listen or rely on our memory. I mean, Member Nee?
well, we're kind of bumping up against the clerk's policy, which took effect at the start of this year regarding action minutes versus detailed minutes. And there is I guess maybe a little bit more summary of the discussion could be in here, but really, between our own personal notes and the availability, almost immediate availability of the recording of the almost real-time recording of our meetings. If we want to go back and review the recording, we can. So it's one thing in the previous minutes where it says Thomas Piccarello spoke on various topics. No, that is not acceptable. Mm-hmm. But I think that what we have here.
It leaves, two things. The supervisors and the clerk of the board do not have the right to circumvent the Sunshine Ordinance by their policy, just as we don't have a right to do that. We can't make bylaws that violate the Sunshine Ordinance, and neither can they. And the reason why it's of a concern to me is that these are our documented efforts. And for example, it doesn't even say that there was a discussion between the use of Mr. Grossman's draft and Member Snyder's draft, which is pretty significant to a task force member that's trying to keep up with what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's pretty simple. That's a one-sentence statement of what happened during that segment. And the reason I mention that is that, there's some great liberties being taken by some of our elected officials, like the voters voted in this mayor's question time, and the supervisors amended it to say that public comment didn't have to come directly after the item, and that's violating the Sunshine Ordinance. And I don't care if they're elected or not. That's violation, and so are these. So I'm not, maybe there's something we can do about it under protest, but if we approve them under protest, I would like for the minutes to say approved under protest because members believe they're not adequate for the Sunshine Ordinance. I want some kind of a description. I don't have time to listen to hours and hours, and sometimes I would prefer to listen to the things because of our other minutes relative to the complaints, because they take up so much of our meeting, and I want our meetings to, go a little more quickly for the complainants.
Right. Member Nee?
Yeah, I'm persuaded, I am persuaded to Member Johnson's thinking. One other thing, and that is I believe that in previous discussions, perhaps at the full task force, Mr. Rustam agreed that he could indicate in minutes where or at approximately what time or at approximately what point during the recording a specific item starts. And those are not reflected in these minutes. In which case, if the second will withdraw the approval motion, that I will withdraw the approval motion.
Yeah, that's fine with me. However we want to do it. I mean, we could approve them under protest or leave them as drafts.
Move to continue.
Or we could vote not to approve the minutes.
Yes, we could.
Radical, yes, but anyway, all right. I will with the second withdrawn. I also withdraw my motion for approval, and I will offer a new motion to continue.
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this motion?
I do not understand why you have to do the micromanagement of what should be in it or out of minutes. I don't understand why you don't recognize that under the ordinance, the administrator works for you. The ordinance doesn't say that the clerk has any authority to determine what the scope of the job and the description of the job of the administrator entails. So if Angela Cavillo decided that Mr. Rustam couldn't work after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, what would you do? What would you do? Or she said, he doesn't have the use of a computer anymore. What would you do? The point is that this is a test, really, of your authority and independence. And it goes to the whole issue of your role and status in the hierarchy of these city bodies. You are not governed by the charter in how you perform your job. The ordinance is an independent expression of the voters of equal, if not higher dignity than the charter. And the clerk of the Board of Supervisors certainly doesn't have more authority than the task force itself to determine what its administrator is or is not going to do. So to go to Angela and Cavilla or to her assistant, Mr. Caldera, and say, you know, we would really like to get a decent set of minutes, that's not what I would say to her and to him. I would say, look, the administrator is responsible to us. We should be evaluating him. We should be outlining the scope of his responsibilities, and we should have the right to look at what he does and determine for ourselves how worthwhile the job is being performed. And I think to go to the clerk and say, look, you know, we really need better minutes, and she says, well, he doesn't have the time. Or that's what we're doing with all the other agencies or bodies. That doesn't give you any leverage at all. Your leverage and what's really important, and as Ms. Johnson said, I went through those 6 hours of audio the other day, trying to figure out where something ended and what something began. You can't do that, and you can't expect the public to do it, and it certainly isn't part of what you should be doing. And if you look at the minutes that were done previously, and if you look at minutes that are being done currently by other secretaries to boards or agencies, you'll see they are not action minutes. No way. So I wouldn't approve any of these, just on general principles.
Thank you.
Good evening, Thomas Piccirillo. I'm opposed to the motion to continue the matter. I am in favor of a motion to disapprove the minutes. As you may know, I filed a complaint against the clerk of the Board of Supervisors for willfully failing to comply with the minute keeping pursuant to the Sunshine Ordinance. What is troubling to me, though, is I also did an IDR requesting any communications between the task force members and Ms. Cavello's office. There is certainly a dearth of communications between the task force and Ms. Cavello's office. I think that I'm in agreement with Mr. Grossman that you should do two things. First, you should disapprove of these minutes, and the minutes should reflect the reason why, and then communicate with Ms. Cavello and tell her that you are not complying with the Sunshine Ordinance, and that's not a good thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Johnson?
A point of order. What happens, what's the procedure when you disapprove minutes?
I don't know, but I would think that we have to have minutes. So if these are disapproved, then I would think we would have to have new minutes that meet with our approval. We can't not have minutes. Member Nee, is that your understanding?
I believe that's correct.
And I think
we would send a message to the administrator saying the minutes need redrafting. If we're going to do that, then we have to provide some direction. I think some very strong and specific direction on how that redrafting should be done.
do I hear a motion to disapprove of these minutes?
There is a motion on the floor right now to continue.
Do you want to withdraw that motion?
If the second withdraws, the motion dies.
Okay. Member Johnson?
Yeah, I'm kind of two minds of this. If you're going to talk to the clerk, if you're going to have a direct meeting with the clerk, I'm not sure which way would be more useful to continue them or to disapprove of these in particular because it's been going on for so long. I can't. Like I said, I would be less reluctant if it had even a little bit more detail about what went on. I mean, the discussion continued until 5:40 when Member Snyder left the room. Is the only real detail as opposed to the two drafts that were before us. I don't know if that would be, disapproving them would be something that you would bring into your discussion with the clerk?
Certainly. Again, there are a lot of concerns raised here. And the lack of detail on this particular issue is something that needs to be, I think that needs to be mentioned.
Then I'll withdraw my second to continue.
In that case, the motion dies.
All right.
I'll make a motion to disapprove the minutes.
I will second.
Okay. I really think I was listening very closely to Alan Grossman's comments, and which he's expressed these views, as have other members of the public, and I think it's incumbent on us to follow the Sunshine Ordinance and to lead by example. I think, and I don't know that we need to come up with detailed instructions to Chris about how to take minutes. I know that he can take detailed, good minutes because he's done it in the past. And I think we're concerned that he'll get into trouble with the clerk of the boards and his job will be in jeopardy, but I don't know that that's a real concern. Mr. Russman, is that a problem?
Madam Chair, I would rather have Chair Nee and whoever accompanies him to talk to the clerk and give me a directive. Right now, I'm all over the place and I do not know which way I'm going.
Okay, all right.
I mean, it is important what you said about leading by example, because we regularly request, in resolution to a complaint. For example, when we ask people to put things in the minutes, or when we say that the minutes didn't reflect that it was a negative comment to the board, so that it's difficult for us to, eventually it's going to come to that where they're going to say, well, you don't do it.
Yeah.
So it's hard for us to make an order, a determining order that we expect people to follow.